The Hash It Out Show is brought to you by Barreto Home Solutions, Bayou Audio and Video, Hot Works on the North Shore, JFK Martial Arts in Mandeville and Covington, Lil Dizzy's Cafe, The Green Law Firm, personal injury attorney, Kaylin Parker of Magnolia Wealth Strategies, Moe's Pizza, Lance's AC and Heating, CC's Children Blocks, The Pierre Family in Lafayette, Louisiana, Drums,
Hands up, hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move. Clear my area, move. Clear my area, move. Clear my area, move. Clear my area. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning.
What's going on, folks? This is the Hash It Out Show right here on JB the Sports Guy, on your YouTube, on your Facebook, on your Twitter, and on your Instagram. I'm the truth in sports and entertainment today. VK Jones, our host tonight of the show. Jerry JB Boyd is on assignment, so he'll be back next week. So we definitely appreciate Jared for letting us come on and run things tonight for this show, but I cannot do this alone. We got my co-host right here, Mr. George Peppers. What's going on, man?
Okay, I'm glad to be with you. It's like old times back in the day, right? But we get to do this
Mhm.
on a little bit bigger platform. And after last night, y'all, if y'all missed our show last night, go back and watch it. It was a very highly debatable conversation we had, and a lot of truths were spoken last night. But we do this every time we do the show. But last night, I feel like we really outdid ourselves in reference to the topic and how we really basically about it was about Shador and all that stuff, and the Saints, of course. But it's more of how we handled it. Some platforms got overly emotional, got in their feelings a little bit. We didn't. We've always been very passionate, VK, when it comes to what we do, and that's just a product of what we do. But last night was awesome. It was really good, and I felt really good when it was over. I told my friends about our show last night. I was like, "Y'all know," and they tried to listen. I was like, "I'm gonna punish y'all. Some demerits about to be handed out at work." So
Absolutely, man. Last night was really epic and everything else. I'll give y'all some clarity a little bit later on, but at the same time, it was a good show last night. But at the same time, we got a lot
we
tonight
do.
going on. This Yes, this week, like we mentioned, Derby week, Kentucky Derby, but also a huge week in the state of Louisiana. It is Region 23 week. It is the NJCAA Region 23 Division 1, and it will be this weekend. The tournament will start on Saturday, and we will have two of the four teams joining us tonight. 7:30, we will have head coach Brandon Schmidt, the first year head coach of the Baton Rouge Community College Bears. And then coming up at 8:05, we have a legendary head coach, a team that has been taken it to another level more than anything else. And in their first year in Division One, we have LSU Eunice head coach Jeff Willis, legendary coach Jeff Willis, joining us on the show at 8:05 to talk about his team and the adjustment they had to make from Division Two to Division One. So we'll have that tonight. I have some little bit of choice words tonight on a particular video. We'll talk about that after the interviews tonight. But before we get it going, let's talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs that has been going on so far. It has been interesting stuff on both sides of the fence more than anything else. And you look at some of the games on last night. I mean, interesting ball games. You know, the New York Knicks and Pistons. I mean, a chance for the Knicks to really close it out, but didn't. Now the series back to Detroit, which will be coming up on tomorrow. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see that one. Another one last night, the Milwaukee Bucks blew a 20-point lead early. Game went to overtime. Milwaukee Bucks had a 12-point lead at one point, but then all of a sudden, Indiana Pacers came all the way back to win the ball game 119-118. And all I'm going to tell you is this, man. What a comeback for the Pacers, but a big time classic choke job by the Milwaukee Bucks. And I hate to say it, I think the playoff window is officially closed for the Milwaukee Bucks.
I
What
think
do
the
you think, Derby?
championship window is closed. I don't know so much about the playoffs because 8 teams make it, and there's not teams worse than Milwaukee. I mean, there are teams worse than Milwaukee, but here, let me address one elephant in the room. Last night, I snuck this comment in before we got off. I said tonight, Indiana Milwaukee play, and that this would be Giannis's swan song with the Bucks. The way they lost that game last night convinces me it is, but people are going to talk about what Tyrese Halliburton's daddy John did. That was all kissed. That was a kiss and
That
make up, VK. I mean, John went at him. Tyrese called his own daddy out, and I've never seen that happen. That a player would call out his own daddy in a press conference, saying my daddy was wrong. He embarrassed me and the Indiana Pacers, and quickly everything was forgiven. John came out with a statement afterward, talking about I disgraced the Pacers, I disgraced my family, and stuff. Basically the language, strong language, but Milwaukee gave up a 7-point lead with 42 seconds to go, VK. That's inexcusable in any level of basketball. You can't give that game away.
very much not at all. Not at all. You can't do that at all. And big ups going to Tyrese Halliburton for doing that, because you have to think about this. What his dad did was very classless.
Idiotic.
Very. Because I was seeing with Shaq and Charles Barkley arguing over this thing and all that stuff. I get where Shaq was coming from, but at the same time, Shaq, you're 7'2", 330. Who gonna mess with you?
You would.
You was this close. You was this close of killing
Oh,
Brad
yeah.
Miller.
Oh, you had to
So
bring that up.
what I'm like,
Man,
who gonna want to mess with you? That's
Brad
common
Miller did.
sense. But at the same time, I get where Charles Barkley was coming from but when I seen the whole video, I was like, oh my God, Charles was right. I'm like, this dude is out his mind of what he did. And Bomani Jones said, I was a little surprised that Giannis didn't slap him. And I was kind of waiting on that too. Because I was like, hold up, bro. You can't do that. Fans are getting out the way and they're cracking down on these fans. You want anything else? But for Tyrese Halliburton, big time props, because you have to understand this. There are moments that when you're grown and your folks kind of get out of
Put him back in
line,
line.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to
Yep.
put them back in line, because you're not about to come embarrass me. Not on my job, not anything else. Oh, no. Not now. People remember years ago, the ultimate thing, LeBron James putting his mom in check.
Hmm.
Now that is what
That's
I'm
next
talking
level.
about. I'm saying more than anything else. All I'm telling you is this. That's why I say what I say about the Ball family. And big ups to Lonzo for going out on his own. And I say the same thing about Zion Williamson. There are some points, mommy and daddy is gonna have to go back. You gotta back because I gotta get this now. I got to take care of this now. You can't be up front. No. You raised me to be a man, you raised me to be an adult. Let me handle the adult things now. You got to back up. And that's what happened. And I'm glad Tyrese Halliburton pointed it out more than anything else. And in eight, fans are, and I wouldn't be surprised they might. I don't know they're gonna give the dad a ban, but I think they're gonna change a lot of accommodations. They might suspend him for half a season and probably say the next time you come back, you're going to sit here. You're not going to
No
the
more
floor no
courtside.
more. You're going to sit right there. No more
Now,
courtside. That's just gonna
I'm
be
going
it.
to tell you this about Giannis, though, last night. In the last 10 playoff games that he has played with the Milwaukee Bucks, he has cleared 30 points and 15 boards, right? Take a guess, VK, without looking.
Hmm.
How many games of those 10 have the Milwaukee Bucks won with those numbers? Giannis now. We're talking about arguably one of the best players in the game, right? But he went 30 and 15 in the
Hmm.
last 10 games, averaging. How many of those games did the Bucks win? Playoff
Right.
games now, out of 10. How many do you think they've won? Don't look it up.
I'm not looking it up.
Just throw a number at me.
I'm gonna say about how many games
Yes.
they won with
Yes.
that number. I'm gonna say probably maybe
How
10
about
playoff
one?
games at least.
They're 1-9. Yes,
One.
sir. That's what that
Oh
adds to your
my.
argument about the window being closed. I think the championship window is closed. Now, what's going to happen to Giannis? This is going to be a off season of turbulence. I think Giannis is gone. I think he's going to not so much demand a trade, but basically it's like, look, y'all, I gave this city a championship. He owes Milwaukee nothing. He got him a title. So if he wants to broaden the horizons, go somewhere else, he has that leeway to do it. So if anybody wants to start crapping on him, y'all need to fall back. Now the most impressive performance last night, Denver. What they did to Clippers was nothing short of a criminal. Jamal Murray went for 9 threes, had 43 points. Jokic was off. 13 point. He still had a double double, but 13 and 10 is what he had. No, Nikola Jokic at 13 points. That's usually in the first quarter, but he only got 13 points last night, and the Nuggets walloped the Clippers up 3-2 in that series. Boston, as expected, closed out Orlando. New York blew a chance to close out Detroit, and Cleveland won by 55 against Miami. So tonight you got
Well,
Golden State, Houston, and Minnesota Lakers.
all I know with that being said, the Clippers, well,
Done.
it's just the haunting. It's just the haunting again of that franchise. They're just cursed, and that's just what it
Hmm.
is. And also, you have James Harden once
Choked
again
in the playoffs.
disappearing acts every time. It does never
To be
fail.
fair, to be
So it
to be fair, VK, he didn't get a lot of touches
yeah,
in 35 minutes. He really didn't. I think the Clippers were trying to, facilitate other avenues, and James didn't get a whole lot of looks or touches. He didn't play that good, but he didn't get a lot of looks either.
and let's see tonight what's gonna happen. Let's see if the Timberwolves can close and have that other thing happen. You know what I'm saying?
I knew you were gonna do
Yeah,
it. I
yeah,
knew it.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. This, that, and the third. That. Lakers losing 5.
LeBron
Let's
and
see what
Luca ain't
happens
enough to
tonight,
win a
man.
series. Yowza!
I, I, I will be happy, happy. I will be
I
so
figured
happy.
that.
But at the same time, big ups going to the one seeds. Big ups because they sent a serious message that these two are the teams to beat. We will see what happens down the line with these two. I really think that is going to be your finals this year. And I don't care if it's going to be the lowest rated finals
I'm
in
watching.
history. Cleveland and OKC, it's
If
going
it
to
does,
happen. It's
I'm
got to happen.
watching. I don't want to hear this low rated nonsense.
I'm
I will
watching too.
absolutely watch that.
I'm watching too. Absolutely. I am watching too,
Hmm.
man. I just cannot wait to see what happens with that one. And you look at, like I said, we're in the beginning. The now your New York Knicks, you know what I'm saying? The thing about the Knicks is this. Do you think the Knicks close it out they close it out in Detroit right quick before we go to commercial?
No. I think it's going back to the Garden, Game 7. I hate to say it, but I saw some disturbing stuff last night that I could extrapolate on, but not now. But I think Detroit's got momentum. They're home. They're not going to lose 3 straight games at home. I think the Knicks are in trouble. They're going to have to go back to the Garden to close it.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and take a time out. When we come back, we will have the head coach of the BRCC Bears, Brandon Schmidt, coming up next right here.
Are
This
you in
is
need of
the
a new
Hash It Out Show.
windshield? Leo Autoglass can help. For 20 years, Leo Autoglass have been servicing the New Orleans area with windshield replacement and auto glass repair. Give them a call today, 504 301 8353. Did you experience storm damage from Hurricane Francine? Barretto Home Solutions can help. You can give them a call at 504 940 7552.
Green Law Firm is a full-service law firm specializing in personal injury, criminal law, successions, and family law. With over 25 years of experience, the Green Law Firm continues to provide efficient, competitive, and effective representation to clients throughout the state of Louisiana and all across the nation. Consultations are free. If you're looking for results, call the Green Law Firm at 504-328-3990. That's 504-328-3990, located at 931 Westwood Drive, Suite B in Marrero, Louisiana. The Green Law Firm. And welcome back to the Hash It Out Show. We appreciate y'all joining us tonight. And we got a lot going on tonight as we getting ready for the 2025 Region 23 Baseball Tournament, which will be starting on Saturday at Denham Springs. And our first guest is making his big-time debut in this tournament, first year at Baton Rouge Community College, and has a whole lot of experience in college baseball, period, or baseball, period, as well. So right now, we are welcoming the head coach of the BRCC Bears, Brandon Schmidt. Coach, how you doing?
What's up,
Welcome
fellas?
to the
How
show.
are y'all? Man, I'm doing well.
Good,
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 Coach.
good. Appreciate you taking the time
Absolutely
out and
excited.
accepting our invitation. Yeah, absolutely, man. Looking at the season, looking at it this year, you come into BRCC. You been in you've been in baseball for a good little while. You've been coaching at a lot of places. You've been in you coach a lot of good players, a lot of good programs and everything. What led you to come to Baton Rouge Community
Man,
College?
over the last couple of years, started to get into Walker High School and a little bit into Homa. Got a kid from Vanderbilt Catholic over the last couple of years, and just in recruiting and passing, man, I kept overhearing all the kids from Louisiana, the talent in Louisiana. And so it kind of led me here kind of, in one pass that kind of just eventually, the job opened up and, I'm very blessed to be here. Very excited for the future of BRCC too. I think that this place is been untapped, but I think that it's got ability to take to the next step. And you're in a region, and we're going to be talking about it. You're in a region that's probably one of the top in the nation in baseball. With how tight it is, you look at Nunez and Delgado, so and Eunice as well. So coming down here to kind of get a change of scenery. Been in Arkansas for my entire life, coached at Hendrix for the last 7 years. And I think that it was a time to start to see the development that I was seeing at a 4-year level in freshmen and sophomores and put it to this level in junior college. So, man, I very, very excited to kind of get through the year. We've played a really, really tough schedule. I think you could ask anybody in the nation that it's probably one of the tougher schedules you can play. So, but we do that intentionally, get the guys reps, get the guys out there. Take a beating, but at the same time, learn some lessons. I think that's the big thing. I think that's what you're going to see from us this weekend is a group that's been, beat up, but it's learned a lot. And so ready to play the game when it's, probably the most meaningful.
Very much understandable. Tell us about the days over at Hendrix College. Talk about the location, the grind that you had to put in, because I know junior college is a lot different than any other like NCAA or something like that. But it's almost like kind of the same type of work, but a little more of a grind than anything else, especially in those small towns.
100%. I was fortunate to grow up about 30 minutes from Hendrix and ended up playing college baseball there at Central Arkansas, which was in the same town of Hendrix. So I got to get to know this town of Conway, and I got to kind of get a good feeling. It's a very homey feeling there. Man, I think that the grind you face at Division III is that you've got really smart kids. You've got kids that are coming there to get a wonderful education. And we were very fortunate with some of the degree paths that we had. And so some of the grind is getting the kids out of the classroom. Getting them out to the baseball field more, and they're coming out to the field talking about the science project that they're working on. So the grind is definitely different. These kids down here, they love the game, they love to get after it. We're very fortunate with the facilities that we have. We're really, really excited about the improvements that we can be made. But I definitely think that our guys took advantage of the time that we had. So I think that this is a place that you're going to see that the grind of the junior college, I think you always talk about, is going to get advanced. And guys are now leaving a junior college with knowledge of what a scouting report is, with knowledge of how to study film the right way. And so I think that that's going to be now that constant grind is, keep them on the field, do what we got to do to get them ready, do what we got to do to get them physically and mentally ready. But what's at the next level? What are you going to see when you get to the next level? What's a Division I weight room look like? And so that's now the part that we're going to be putting in going forward.
And I know as a coach, I know you're very much blessed, you can say, that you get a job like this and you have a facility that's already set up there for BRCC to play, because they established Pete Goolsby about 3 years ago, more than anything else, to make them their permanent home, and they've been all other places to play baseball. But how you have embraced being at Pete Goolsby, but I know you want to see other things happening. But at the same time, how did you like making the adjustment, at least having a place?
Man, I'll tell you what, a quick story. Coach Dupuis, that was the kind of, I guess, the reigning BRCC guy, before Coach Semino. Coach Dupuis met me literally the first day I got down here and got hired on. He took me around, and the passion that he had for Gouldsby and how he got Gouldsby kind of from where it was to where it is now, and to kind of keep it the way it is. Man, it gave me some passion to kind of keep to where it was throughout the spring. And I think that that's going forward. I think that we need a place that is able to facilitate. You look around at Louisiana high schools right now, on a baseball side of things, they've got, indoors and locker rooms and everything involved. All that's lavish and great. Man, I think that you get a place where these, junior college dirtbags, JUCO bandits get out and they just go. They can get after wherever. And so I think that that's something that we definitely want to take advantage of. We want to get into some support from the Baton Rouge area. But at the same time, we just need to get our guys out there, get them seen by the right schools, keep them competing. I think that that's something that, you look late in the year, you've got a tough year, keep them competing, do things off the field that's fun and enjoyable, keep them engaged. We've been very fortunate on the classroom side that our guys have done very, very well. And so that's been a part that's been a blessing to see our guys. So, I think that to answer your question best, I think that our guys continue to keep getting after it. Regardless of we're at Denham Springs, 6 days out of the week, and Pete Goolsby 1 day out of the week, or wherever we might be.
Well, looking at your background more than anything else, you had led Hendricks to one of their best runs in pitching, had the lowest ERA, also most wins, shutout saves in school history at the time you was coaching over there. And I think we've seen a couple of what you can do at BRCC so far this year. We see some very good pitching performances despite a lot of the losses, but we see a lot of bright spots from your pitchers that really came out and played some outstanding performances, especially the last couple of weeks we have seen during the season. It seemed like it's a sign that things are getting better.
No, it's good. I think you kind of, as a coach, you're not improving in this game if you don't magnify and being able to look at certain things and say, okay, if this goes this way, sure, this may have gone. You kind of have to kind of see the game, and you kind of have to know that at a junior college level, you're dealing with freshmen and sophomores. You're dealing with young, immature, inexperienced athletes. And so there might be a growth spurt that all of a sudden happens. There might be an experience light bulb moment that all of a sudden clicks. Tanner Cranford has been a namesake that, as a redshirt freshman, man, and he was a guy that super twitchy, all those tools are there, 86, 89. It was a matter of how do you talk him into, okay, and how do you get to the next time through a lineup? Okay, now how do you get third time through a lineup? And so that's been the exciting part, is that the tool set's been here. I think that was the part at Hendrix where the kids, they grinded so much. You used the word already. They grinded so much to get out to the field, to work on their classroom, to work on their craft on the baseball field. We were very blessed with a handful of pitchers that came through, Andre Stoyanov, Jack Hodgins, that set some of those career records that dominated Division III. To get down here, you're not going to have that one name or two names to run through a year, 4 years, that kind of hold down the fort, you might say. And so to be able to go in and to kind of get through this year, I've learned a lot about how do we attack junior college hitter, or how are pitchers from the junior college size. You look at Delgado, who arguably is one of the better pitching performance teams when it comes to just how their stuff is and how they pitch, how they repeat, their tempo. And so a lot of that stuff we've had to instill in our guys, and so I think that you're going to see that improve as the years go forward. You're going to see the talent gap get a little bit closer. I think that that's a big thing, especially on our front end. You look all across our Region 23, you see dudes 86 to 89 on the front end. We've got to compete with that. We're running out 2 out of 3 with a crafty lefty. You've got to be able to get that fourth or fifth guy in there that's stuff-wise competes at this level at a very high level. And so that's going to be the big thing going forward. And I like our class coming in, man. I think that that's going to be a big thing, is getting our guys in. We've been very, very blessed with the group we have, but very fortunate that at junior college, the group you have next year, you ain't got them anymore. So get them on, get them out, and get them to better places. And I think that's something we've really much done. We've got 6 commits that we're going into actually the signing day tomorrow, and I think that that's something we're really excited about, with one of our arms going to LSUS, number 1 in the nation in AIA, and then 3 or 4 going to LSUA, and then one going over to UT Tyler, a top-ranked in AIA as well. So, man, I think that that's something you're going to see out of BRCC, and that's something I said day one was develop and compete. And at some point, you're going to add the third one that everybody talks about: develop, compete, and win. And I think that you're going to see that as we get that talent gap there.
Very much agreed. You had a word earlier. That's the only other person I know that used JUCO bandits is Glenn Powell. he loves that word, the old JUCO bandits.
It's true. It's true. I played at Crowder in 2015, man. and Coach Lawler met up there, and Crowder is an unbelievable junior college. Always a Grand Junction team, and so to get there and to see it the way it was, man, I'm excited to continue to instill some of the things that learned there, and that this place needs.
Well, Region 23 used to play in that same region a couple years ago. Now they're not. But last question before I pass it to George Peppers. You look at this season, I know it was hard and everything else, but at the same time, there have been some bright spots. You competed in a lot of these games, and one of the biggest wins of the season, and you knocked off LSU Eunice, who was number 1 in the country, and you beat them on a walk-off, being down 3 runs, but you got the 4 runs. Dylan Bird hits the game winner more than anything, but you pushed them to the limit earlier in the day, only losing by 3 runs. But what you can say about that moment with that win, having the biggest win in school history, but not just that, it seemed like your team really, really started to get together from there going forward.
It was an exciting moment in the time, but I think our guys kind of, I'll be very candid with you. I think our guys were kind of shocked even at the time that it could happen. And it was kind of shocking in game 1 that we kept it that close. And I kind of looked at our guys after game 1 and I said, y'all here, right? And they kind of responded the same that they've responded all year. And I was kind of like, okay. And so afterwards, though, when we go into Sunday, man, it was one of those deals where I think a lot of the freshmen really caught on. They saw kind of where this can go, where the vision is. I think that we've got a lot of sophomores that are very, very talented, very, very highly capable of competing at a very, very high level. I think that some of them started to kind of see, maybe that isn't just a fluke. Maybe we could. And so it started to kind of rally some guys together, man. We've had an unbelievable practice. I think you go into the playoffs, you kind of go, it's 0-0. Everybody's 0-0. The records and the rankings and everything, the battles, the losses, the schedule that you play. Hey, you got 2 ball games. You got 2 guarantees. Go out there and ball out. And I think a group like ours, who's taken some adversity, that's taken some lumps, I don't think you can count us out. And I think that's the exciting part, is that you can't really doubt out a team that is on a neutral site that's going to, go out there. And like you said, we've started to play a little bit better. Record maybe doesn't show it, but you are actually there and watching the game. Man, you're seeing some good competitive games for the most part. And so I'm excited to put it together for 9 innings, strap it up and ready to go. I think it's going to probably be the best the Region 23 tournament has been. I think you can probably attest to it when you get there this weekend. But I think it's going to be a good setup for the fans. I think it's going to be a good setup for the boys to get after it, showcase their talents, and make it to Monday, make it to Tuesday, and go have fun.
Absolutely. George Peppers, you're up.
Oh, Coach Smith, first off, echo my co-host in saying thank you for taking the time out of a busy schedule to join us. I know you got all the preparations in ahead for the Region 23 tournament. Um, Also, congratulations on, having a job at BRCC. I think it's a bright future. Tough conference, but a bright future for you guys. You pointed it out earlier. I want to ask you though, when you took the job at BRCC and you looked at the lay of the land, you obviously saw LSU Eunice joining, Delgado and Nunez, and you obviously your battle plan is to get to their level. What do you think this first year has accomplished in trying to get to that long term goal of, hey, let's get to where LSUE is and where Delgado is every year? We're 40, 50 wins. What is it going to take? I mean, what kind of steps do you think your team took this year?
I think that's exciting. I think that you look at our coaching staff. We're a very young coaching staff when it comes to experience. We're a very young coaching staff when it comes to this level of experience, especially. And so to get into this level and to play to Pearl Rivers, to play the Joneses, to play a lot of the D2 namesakes early on, we really got to kind of see what this level really takes at a very high level to compete at. And now to get into it and to seeing everybody in conference 2 times through, it's been very, very exciting for the future of where BRCC baseball will be going. And I'm excited still for this weekend. But I think that some of the steps that we've learned, some of the steps we've taken, is kind of the day-to-day routine of, you're in junior college baseball. We tried to our best to schedule what would be a Division I schedule, which is that Tuesday midweek, weekend series, so on and so forth. Junior college, not so much the case. And so to script up the best way possible to make it individual, because you only have maybe 9 months with a kid, you only have maybe 18 months. And so I think some of those steps that we've learned is what's that development take for each week to week. You only may see, with us having 2 coaches on staff running with the hitters, maybe you only see 9 or 7 and 8, 10 guys, whatever each period. What are they working on the rest of the time? And so starting to develop a little bit more of that day-to-day practice plan. Those are some of the things that we've kind of seen over the time already that we're going to work on and improve. But man, I test these guys. They've worked their ass off and since August. I really, really think that they've done a very, very good job of showing up every day with a great mindset. And again, you got 2 more ball games left to extend the rest of the year. And again, maybe go make a miracle happen. So.
Maybe more than 2 games. You never know, Coach.
Right?
It's baseball.
All right.
I mean,
It's baseball.
let's talk about it.
Weird stuff has
Baseball.
happened.
It's the greatest theater sport that I know. I mean,
Yes.
because a lot of high theater can happen, a lot of high drama, especially at more so at the major league level. I mean, we've seen many dramatic moments. But let's talk about you now. How do you feel about your team now as we head to this tournament starting on Saturday? What are you seeing from your team now that you feel like, hey, look, we might just be able to pull this off? What kind of signs is this team showing you coming into this tournament?
I think that our rotation started to kind of slowly come together a little bit. Roban's been in the back of our rotation kind of as the number 3 guy. And that was very intentional from the get-go, because knowing who his arsenal is, knowing how he pitches, knowing he would always get us the most competitive quality start day in and day out, week to week. So knowing now that the Roban's kind of going to be taking the ball and is going to be the guy to kind of run it. Tanner Cranford, the one I mentioned earlier, being kind of that on that 2 rotation, had an unbelievable start earlier in the year against Jones. So kind of, I think as we've gone along, we've really started to piece together a little bit of the bullpen, started to see some guys in some big roles. Again, some, VK kind of spoke to it earlier, kind of some of those inflated outings, you might call it, might still be very meaningful for me. Jackson Adams this past weekend, Jackson Adams runs in there in a conference game. I think BK was 7-8. Nunez in the 7th or close to the 8th, I think is what it was.
Yeah, it was a one-run lead. Yep, it was a one-run
game, and we're putting a guy in that has 2.2 innings on the year, but it's a guy that I really trust to take the next step, to take initiative to get into our bullpen this next week. And so some of those outings that maybe got away from him, I need him to see that experience, I need him to learn in that moment before the big moment really then happens. And so we really started to kind of piece together the bullpen. I'm excited about our lineup, and I think that's something that you can talk to anybody in our league. I don't think numbers really dictate what our lineup can do on a day-to-day basis. We have not put together a great game this entire year. Offensively, you look at our quabs, you look at our free passes, a lot of that gets kind of canceled out by the strikeout numbers. And so we can limit the strikeout numbers this weekend. We can get on base. We can take some extra free 90s that, we're not a team that's going to run a lot. We're not a team that's going to bunt a lot. We're going to be a team that's going to make an offense. Hey, you're going to have to hit the ball. And so if we can really cut down the strikeouts, we can get an aggressive, be in early counts. I think that's going to be a big thing for us going forward that we've kind of slowly learned as we've gone. But I think at the end of the day, you're now in some big moments. You've seen some big situations. You've been in some close games. Now it's the same game, and you got to go play it. And so having the practices that we've had so far this week have been great to keep them loose, keep them free. Don't make this game any bigger than what it needs to be.
This week's practice, you talk about how great it's been, and that's a great thing to hear. You mentioned that you played a couple of close games against the team you're going to play to open this tournament. That's LSU Eunice, the number 3 team in the country, or 2, I think. What are they, 3 or 2? Something like that. They're crazy good, but they're up there. With that said, you mentioned that you played them close in one game and then you walked them off. Have you used those games as a message this week to your kids in a first game on Saturday?
I think that you kind of take some of those and you kind of learn a little bit. And Eunice has definitely got one of the best offenses. And I think that you look back, even when we played them at home, or when we played them away, man, they were an offense that's really aggressive early. And so there's some things that if we can do well early in counts and we can get them to some 2-strike counts, I think you can have some success at times. But man, they're a really, really talented team. And so I think that they're a team that you have to prepare to be as perfect can be in baseball. And so that means sometimes that you got to let the guys be a little bit free in such a big moment, in such a big game. And so I think that's what we're going. That's what we're taking. We're taking not necessarily a loosey-goosey method, but we're going to go out there with an hour and a half, 2 hours. We're going to take care of the baseball. You're going to do the right things. We're going to get good swings in. But you're going to leave the field ready for the next day. You're not going to leave the field, oh man, I'm not feeling the great. Maybe I'm slumping. I'm not leaving here. We make sure our guys leave the field every day feeling good about themselves. If there's something we're working on, we'll stay until the end of practice, whatever it takes, to make sure you feel leaving good. And so you look at the region itself, it's a very tough region to play in. It's a very tough region to compete in week week out for 6 weeks. And so I'm very, very excited to see what 2 games can do. And like you said earlier, George, maybe more than 2 games. And so Eunice is a tough group. You never know. Never know. Eunice is a tough group. Nunez has always been tough. I'm very, very, intrigued by their offense. And then, like I said, Delgado pitches the shit out of it. Excuse my language. I don't know if I can curse on here, but they really do. And it's one of those things that, man, I've been so impressed with the 3 of these teams. So, man, I think the Region 23 is going to continue to grow in the right direction. And so I'm excited.
Could you make the argument, and I think it's an easy one to make, that Region 23 has the best group of teams in the country at this level?
Man, I definitely think that it's up there. I think in the small pool that we have of the 4, and I think that where, like, again, BRCC is going, I think that you will be in that conversation a lot sooner than later. I think that it has been, and I think that it's going in the right direction. Man, you always got to count in the Texas, and I think that the Texas region is a very, very talented region. And then that's something, too, in our schedule that we want to change a little bit. We want to go play Texas. We want to get into Texas, like Coach Dupuy, like I talked about earlier. He went out and played Galveston and Alvin, and so some of the schedule that we'll be having is going to change a little bit, but we want to play some of those top regions. And I think that it's going to better our guys.
What's the excitement level at the school in advance of the tournament? I mean, you talk about the marked improvements and you guys, the subtle improvements that you guys have made, and your team is starting to find a little bit of rhythm. You know, your pitching is starting to come around and whatnot. What is the buzz around the school in advance of the tournament?
Man, I think that that's something I've been most excited and impressed with is BRCC as a whole, from everyone top down, from our chancellor all the way down to our athletic director Brock Hantro. Man, there's been excitement since August, and there's been excitement all through the year when women's basketball, men's basketball were successful. Softball is having a great year, so there's been this constant buzz, and so that's the kind of very interesting feeling I have going into this weekend. Is there's just been that constant, just kind of, okay, this has been really exciting year for everybody all around, and so I think that that's something that's going to carry into the weekend. I think that's something that everybody on our staff, everybody on BRCC campus is pretty excited for what's ahead, whether it be this weekend or going down the road, kind of going forward. I think that the sports on campus are really in a good position to continue to show some excellence. We continue to recruit right kids, and they continue to come in and do really well on and off the field. And so I think that the buzz will continue. I think that this weekend everybody talks about Louisiana high school playoffs and how the buzz in the arena and everything is always exciting. And so I'm excited to see kind of some of that love this weekend. Have fans come out to Denham Springs this weekend, check it out. 4 games, between Saturday and Sunday, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So it should be a pretty good turnout.
I think you'd rather play at 4. Is the 4 o'clock game the winner's game on Sunday?
4 o'clock game, I believe so. Yes, sir. The 4 o'clock game is the winner's game.
I think that's the winner's.
Yep.
I think you want to play that game, right?
You do. You want to win first. You
kind of want to see y'all there. There you go. That's what I mean. You have to necessitate that by winning game 1 on Saturday, and you get either Nunez or Delgado.
Nope.
But
you can't get to game 2 without winning game 1. So that's kind of
exactly focus on game 1. Lock in on game 1. But I got to say, after hearing you here for the last 15-20 minutes or so, I'm excited for your team. I think your team is going to make tremendous strides. I wish you the best of luck. I have one more question before I flip it back to VK. But I just want to say, I think your team's going to have tremendous success down the road. So what if the conference is tough? This is where you get good players and put yourself in that discussion. I think they're in good hands with you. I think BRCC's in great hands with you. And I feel like you'll have a real shot going forward. But let's say you guys don't win the tournament. What's the message to the team after it's over if you don't make it through?
Man, and I think that that's something I've been preparing for. The last 7 years, you recruited a kid and let him come in for 4 years. You got to really know every parent and every kid. At junior college, it's really not. You don't really get that same attachment. And so, to be able to mold these kids into great young men, you've got to be able to talk to them straight up and say, "Hey, yes, you were a baseball player today. Tomorrow, you're committed to so and so. You're going to somewhere else. Your work still has to be put in. You still got to get back to it. And so maybe take a week off, go rest for half a day, half a week, whatever the case may be. But a lot of these kids, they need to get committed still. And so there's some of these kids that hey, you need to go get in summer ball. And so the message at the end of the year, at a year like this, is going to be that we were very resilient. We showed up every day. We did the right stuff. You can ask anybody in our conference, any head coach in our conference, any head coach that that we've played all year. And I think that you're gonna hear the same message, is that BRCC is very competitive. BRCC is on the rise. There's a feeling about it, and so I think that's going to be the part that I'm going to be really proud of our guys for how they showed up, how they attacked the day, went about their business, and then at the end of the day, I'm going to tell them, you guys still be hungry. You still got 2 more years, 3 more years potentially, and so you got to take this, and you got to kind of keep a chip on your shoulder as freshmen that are coming back. If you're a redshirt freshman, you're coming back, you got to kind of keep a chip on your shoulder, and you got to know that the standard is definitely improving. You've kind of set the floor for the standard, and when it comes to statistics, when it comes to record, but you set the standard when it comes to actually, what you're doing on a daily basis. And so I think that the freshmen are now going to lay the land, and then they're going to come back hungry with a chip on their shoulder, knowing now what this region brings, knowing now what a junior college season brings. Us as coaches learning from this as well. So we're pretty excited to see what the future holds for us. But again, I think to kind of answer your question best, I'm very excited to see these guys flourish now. At the end of the day, when you're at a 4-year school, it was kind of one of those deals of, okay, here's your last day, here's your last game that you've ever played in your college career. Now go get a job. These kids, it's, hey, you still have 2 more years. Hey, I want to keep in touch. Hey, I want to talk to you for the next 6 or 7 months of how is the transition to a 4-year school? How is it going out of state finally? How is it wherever you may land? And then progress then throughout. And so that's something I'm very excited to be at a level like this, to continue to, the relationships that we start here at BRCC, then on throughout wherever their paths may lay.
Coach Smith, gonna close you out with one more from me.
Awesome.
The atmosphere going into this weekend, you're used to playing a little bit at Denham Springs. At first the thing was at Goolsby, but a little change from Brock Cantrell to put it in Denham Springs. What are your thoughts on the tournament being there?
It's a great site. I think it's a very, very good neutral site. The coach said it all over there. Is really, really blessing us with a chance to be over there. So I'm excited. It's going to play very well. It's going to play pretty neutral, hopefully, with the win. I think it's a pretty good spot to be a pitcher at, hopefully, this weekend. But no, I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a good setup. So come on out. Like I said, 1 o'clock on Saturday, we'll be going up against Eunice, and then Delgado and Nunez, a pretty good matchup. Then game 2 at 4 o'clock. So man, it's going to be a good little test. But like we said, we've been out there. We've played some games there. We've won some games there. You can't say that too much. I think our winning percentage there at Denham Springs is a lot better than at Gouldsby. So we're going to take our chances, roll into it, and see what we can do.
LSU Eunice against BRCC. That'll be 1 p.m. Saturday. Come out there and support. If not, all the tournament games will be on tsbnsports.com. Head coach Brandon Smith of the BRCC Bears, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you luck, and we will see you Saturday in Denham Springs.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
All right, Coach.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Coach Brandon Smith of the BRCC Bears. Before we go to commercial, we have our next guest. George, your thoughts on Coach Smith? And it seems like he has a vision for BRCC becoming really good soon.
And quite frankly, that's something they really need. Because of the level of competition, before LSU Eunice got there, was Delgado and Nunez. Nunez has made tremendous strides. Glenn Paul has done great work there. 33 wins this year. That's a fascinating team to watch, an underrated team. And Delgado is Delgado. You know what they're about, VK. They are strong, but they're going to get the acid test this weekend with LSU Eunice too, potentially. Of course, BRCC could upset the apple cart. Absolutely could upset the apple cart. So I like where Coach Smith is going to take this team. It's going to take some time, and I hope that the alumnus and the student body and the administrators give him that leeway to build this, to mold this vision, and create a winning climate there. It's not a doldrum team. This is a team that has made strides. VK, you've seen them. I have not. They've made tremendous strides this year. Does it show on the 1-loss record? No. But we look for those subtle improvements throughout the year, and they have made them. Is it going to be enough to knock off an LSU Eunice and Delgado in a tournament setting? Who knows? I mean, it's baseball, VK. You know how theatrical baseball can be and how much drama baseball has. I mean, the best team doesn't always win. And in a format like this, and I meant to ask him about the format, and I didn't think about it, because it's now double elimination, 4 teams, and then the winner, where do they go? They go to Alabama next week, right?
The winner goes to Alabama, and it will be in about 2
A
weeks.
playoff.
It'll be a region series against the winner, best of 3 against the team out of Alabama. Whoever wins that tournament will go against the winner of Region 23 in a sort of super regional setting series.
And the winner goes to Grand Junction, right?
The winner goes to Grand Junction.
Is VK Jones going to be on that plane, the Grand Junction?
Well, the only way that happens, to be honest, if Nunez or BRCC makes it. So,
I got you.
Yeah, but at the same time, yeah. But let's take a time out. We're going to come back. We will have Jeff Willis coming up next from LSU Eunice. You are watching
at Bayou AV Security. We are your one-stop shop for all your needs, whether it's enhancing your home entertainment system, securing your property, ensuring a seamless internet connection, or illuminating your outdoor spaces. We've got you covered. Bayou AV Security, where technology meets reliability. Call us today to experience the Bayou difference.
JFK Martial Arts offers a wide variety of martial arts programs for kids, teens, and adults as they empower lives through martial arts. Please give them a call at 985 266 0664 and don't forget to ask about their 1 week free special. Feeling drained from the constant noise in your daily life? Immerse yourself in pure audio bliss with drums. Experience a world of crystal clear sound, free from distractions. Discover the ultimate relaxation and escape into an oasis of serenity. Grab yours today. drumsworld.com.
And welcome back to the Hash It Out Show right here on JB the Sports Guy and also YouTube, all social media platforms. We really appreciate y'all joining us here, and we're getting ready for the Region 23 tournament in Denham Springs. Our next guest joining us right now is a legendary head coach. He has been in the game for a very, very long time and this is his 23rd season at LSU Eunice. And not too long ago, he's just won his 1100 game. And also his team coming into this weekend, number 2 in the country. And we've been waiting and hopefully, and we're glad to have him tonight. We have the head coach of LSU Eunice, Jeff Willis. Coach, welcome to the show. What's going on? Coach Willis?
Oh no, VK, I see a black screen.
Okay. Coach Willis? Yes. JB, you might have to kind of, if you're back there, you might have to kind of reset things a little bit. So, okay. Coach, if you see us or hear us, just might have to come back, log out, come back in, and just get back and join us right quick. Well, I'll find a way to try to contact them right quick. So don't worry. Now, besides all that, LSU units, like we mentioned, number 2 in the country, coming into this tournament, and they have been a really, really good program. And they're also the 8-time national champs. And Coach Willis, you hear me, Coach? Coach, I thought I heard a voice. Coach Willis. Okay. Now, now, George, I'm gonna say this about that program. That's a really good program there, and what you can say a little bit about this about how this program is just so consistent.
I mean, living in Bunkie for 12 years, LSU Eunice was a team that was made mention a lot of on the local networks up where I'm at, because they're all out of Alexandria and Eunice isn't far from Alexandria. So it's more local that way. But I've learned about this program. I know about this program and how good they've been and how consistent they've been. Been to the national tournament numerous times, got to a World Series how many times. Um, Coach Willis has over 1,100 wins. Sterling numbers to be sure. They're just a model of consistency, BK, the kind of program you can just look back and say, yeah, every year it's like death taxes and LSU units whipping tail in baseball, you know, and that's what they do. They do it every year. And when I told you when they got into Region 23 this year, because it's their first year in Region 23, that Delgado was going to have a new big boy to play against. And those series have been immaculate, have they not? to be sure. And this tournament is going to bring out the best in both of those programs. Which, you know what, Nunez and BRCC are like, you know what? How do we upset the apple cart? That's going to be their narrative this weekend. How do we get in there and split the two teams, and one of us gets a shot at going to Alabama? That's the narrative. That's something Coach Powell and Coach Schmidt are going to have to figure out with their respective squads. But LSU Eunice is just, they're that good. And
Absolutely.
well,
Let's try again. Coach Willis, you hear
let's
me?
do it again.
Coach Willis?
It's a picture and sound thing, VK, I think.
Yeah, cause I was just hitting him up on the email, and I was just letting him know, just make sure he has the mic and the camera on.
As
Hopefully
we
he'll
patiently await.
just patiently await Coach Willis.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, Coach Willis, you hear me?
I got nothing.
Got nothing either. Let me see if he can. Let me see if he can use his phone.
That might have to be the option, VK.
So
But with that said, you get to call the game. All the games are going to be on TSPN or just Nunez and BRCC's games?
well, all the games will be on TSBN. We at the end of the year we do the tournament. We do the whole tournament in itself, and we call it down the middle. So that we it's been fun doing it every year, calling it right down. It's a national tournament, and it's not just the state watching. Everybody is watching.
The
Everybody's watching.
Alabama region's watching.
Alabama region's watching. Texas is watching. Even Oklahoma's watching. They're checking it out. They're checking out
Of course they are.
what we have
It's
down here and everything.
high quality baseball. And I'll ask you a question I asked Coach Smith while we wait for Coach Willis to get his issues squared away in reference to, maybe my bad luck on Restream. My 2024 internet has hit him. I don't know. Just a little funny stuff.
Hope
But
not.
I'll ask you this question, VK, because you cover this conference more than anybody else. With the addition of LSU Eunice and with the season that has just played out, as we get into the tournament, is Region 23 the best conference in America? Can you make that argument
I'm gonna say it is one of the
up there?
best.
Hmm.
It's up there, but I'm gonna tell you one thing: that conference, that Crowder, that particular district, that particular conference, that is tough as nails. It's really,
Hmm.
really that tough. Coach
Let's
Willis,
see.
hopefully, he says he's gonna try his phone and see if that works.
And our apologies to our audience that's watching us right now. We're doing our best to get a legend on right here. So just bear with us for hopefully another minute or so. Not even that. Oh,
I
oh,
think
go ahead.
I think what we might do is try.
There we
Okay,
go.
there we go.
I got a picture. We got a picture.
Got a picture. Coach Willis.
Yeah, you got me now?
We
Yeah,
got
yeah,
you, coach.
we got you, Coach. We got
Let's
you.
go. Let's go, VK. We got him.
Coach Willis,
All right.
and we welcome him to the show. Coach Willis, Jeff Willis of the LSU Eunice LSU Eunice Bengals. We appreciate you
Bengals.
joining us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys
Oh,
having me. Sorry, it's a little
How things
dark
are,
out here. I just walked out of my office, and we'll make it work.
oh, that's no problem, no problem. Uh First of all, Coach, I tell you, man, you're a legend in this state of Louisiana. And I tell you, you and Joe Sherman are just, I can say, like neck and neck, but y'all guys really have set this tone in the state of Louisiana more than anything else with these two great programs.
Well, I've got a lot of respect for everybody. I think everybody works incredibly hard, and I think everybody's in it for the right reasons and for the kids, and not necessarily any type of wins or losses or championships or anything like that. I think they're in it for the kids, and when you put the kids first, good things seem to happen.
Very much agreed. You just, just came off of an interesting weekend against Delgado. Came off some huge wins. One of them was the the last game of the season and getting a walk-off win and everything. And also you won your 1100 game as well. A big time accomplishment for you after everything you have accomplished at LSU Eunice. What you can say about getting that 1100 win?
Well, I mean, I didn't know where we were in anything like that. I don't keep those type of totals. I really don't think you're really judged by how many wins you have or anything in that regard. Especially what it does tell you is you've been around a long time. It also tells you that you've had some really, really good players and really, really good assistant coaches. And, I think that the individuals that are owed that type of respect are really your players that accomplish that, and your assistant coaches that are in the grind and in the daily grind each and every day. And I think those are team awards. I don't think they're individual awards. And we've just been lucky to have a lot of really good people together during all these different years.
Understandable, very understandable. You come into this year, you had to make an adjustment. You went from Division 2 to Division 1. You're the 8-time national champs. How much of adjustment you had to make from going from Division 2 NJCAA to Division 1?
Well, I think we've always played good teams, and the playoffs that we always had in Division 2. I've always said this. The top teams in Division 2, I really don't see much difference in those type of teams and the top teams that are in Division 1. Those teams are really, really good. They do incredibly well. When you see national polls that include all Division 1 and Division 2 teams, you've got Division 2 teams that are up there at the top as well. And so, the transition wise, our schedule didn't really change much from year to year. We played, we've always played Delgado every year. Always played them 6 games, a home and home 3-game series. We used to play Baton Rouge home and home we hadn't played them in several years, and Nunez as well. So those are a little different playing Nunez and Baton Rouge. But if you look at our schedule through those years, we were always playing Tyler and Panola and all those teams from East Texas that were Division 1. And then when you got in the playoffs in Division 2, those were some really, really good teams that were in Region 23. And so, I don't see much difference in it per se. But you got to play well. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. When you get down to the end, you can throw all kinds of records out of the picture. You can throw out ERAs. You can throw batting averages. It comes down to who gets hot at the right time, who gets timely hits, who throws strikes, and who executes when you need to execute. And so, again, I think you can throw all the statistics, all the win-loss records out right now, and it really comes down to who is going to play well at that time.
Very much agreed, Coach. Very much agreed. I know it's been a couple of years since I really checked your team out until this season, and one of the most scariest things maybe I've ever seen. I've covered college baseball, but when I looked at your statistics and I looked at the stats of LSU Eunice, I have never seen a team that you have 6 players at the time before the New Year's game, 6 players batting over 400. Now my eyes was just lit up like, what? I can see 2, 3, maybe 4, 6 players hitting over 400. That's amazing in itself, and it seems like the consistency of LSU Eunice just screams out.
Well, I mean, I think if you look at those statistics, there's not 6 hitting over 400 anymore. So, I think things got hot there at the very, very beginning. Guys played really, really well. I think the key is making sure that we stay consistent. But again, I think when you look at batting averages and, I think quality at bats matter a lot more than batting averages. I think your whip as a pitcher matters a lot more than an ERA and things of that. Your strikeout to walk ratio, I think those things matter more than an ERA. Because I think a lot of times your ERA can be a lie. And I also think your batting average can be a lie because a lot of factors come into that can be out of your control. Whereas having a quality at bat, I think that's in your control. I think being able to get on the mound and limit the free passes with walks and hit by pitches and being able to navigate that, I think that tells you if you're successful or not. So those are things that we look at more is quality at bats and kind of where that whip is at.
I can understand that. Look, what another thing we've seen, not just the hitting, we knew the starting pitching was pretty good, but your bullpen, I seen a lot of bullpens this year, And I think your bullpen is probably one of the best I've seen all year long because you have a lot of pitchers you rotate in and out. But then on top of that, they bring some different stuff. And I'm talking some good stuff that has really helped y'all in a lot of big victories this year.
Yeah, we have a different, we always want to have, and I think any coach wants to have the ability to kind of play matchup. A lot of times it takes you a little while to figure out those matchups with your opponents. I do think we do have some strengths with some matchups and being able to do a bunch of different things out of the bullpen. But again, tomorrow's a new day, and next week, or not next week, but Saturday starting that tournament, it's a new day. And again, you can throw a lot of those things out because guys get hot when the playoffs take place, and then some guys get cold, and you got to make sure that you can pitch, play defense, and get timely hits to be able to win. And again, I've always said it, when you get to the playoffs, throw all the statistics out the window because they don't matter. I've seen it with our team where guys that have had so years all of a sudden are the kind of the MVP during the playoffs, and they kind of come out of nowhere. And I'm always excited and anxious to see who that guy's going to be, and who's going to step up and be the guy that you didn't really expect much from, that all of a sudden becomes the guy that's the difference maker. And if you ever get two or three of those guys all of a sudden coming out of nowhere that become the difference makers, then that's when you have a chance to kind of win and move really deep into the playoffs. But then again, if everybody goes cold and everybody doesn't do what they're capable of doing, anybody can win, and anybody can win on any given pitch.
Before I pass this along to George Peppers, this weekend, the Region 23 tournament in Denham Springs, and it seems like the atmosphere is going to be really unbelievable. Tell me your thoughts on this tournament coming up, and then on top of that, you're taking on BRCC once again. You took 2 out of 3, but one of the games was real close. Come up short in that game 5-4, but we know it's a brand new, like you said, brand new ball game when you go into tournament time. What you can say about the atmosphere going into Denham Springs and also the matchup?
Well, I think we've always. I'll tell you what, we're gonna treat it like any other game. We don't ever build up the playoffs. We don't think those games are more important than any other game. I've always said this: the definition of our team, the success of our team is not going to be dictated by what's sitting on a scoreboard. It's always our goal to play the best game of baseball that we're capable of playing, and hopefully we do that at the right time of the year. But I think it's a fleeting thing to tell young people that success is what the scoreboard says, or success is how much money's sitting in your pocket, or success is how much power you have or how much fame you have. I think those are very fleeting, and really, I think for the most part, it's kind of immature to kind of think that that's what the definition of success and winning is. I think winning success is based on who you are, what your work ethic is, the type of person, what your attitude is. We won't treat those games any different than the first game of the year, the second game of the year, the 17th game of the year. We'll treat them all the same, and we'll look forward to playing the game the right way. Our opponents, we want to match up and play against the game and not necessarily against the opponent. And so, we don't sit down and we don't go over scouting reports, and we don't do anything in that regard. We just want to show up and try to play the best game we're capable of playing, and hopefully we'll come all right out on the scoreboard. But if we don't, that's not going to define who we are as individuals.
We're on live with the legendary head coach of the LSU Eunice Bengals, Jeff Willis, on the Hash It Out Show on all social media platforms, and also on JB the Sports Guy on your YouTube. George Peppers, you're up.
Thank you, Coach Willis. First off, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule for joining us on the show tonight. And congratulations on the team's season, #2 in the country. Lots of expectations. And again, belated, a big congratulations to you and your staff and your team.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm excited to be here.
And we appreciate you. When you decided to get into Region 23, Delgado was running things here. Obviously, they've won a bunch just like you guys. Um, Nunez, up and coming team. This year 33 wins. BRCC, it doesn't show on the record, but they've made marked improvements. They've actually beat you guys in a game this year, and then played you guys close in another game or two. Um, do you? I asked this of Coach Schmidt earlier. I'm going to ask you. Do you think this is one of the strongest conferences in all of America in junior college?
Well, I think that's a tough definition. I mean, there's some really good conferences out there. I mean, I can go to Texas, I can go to Florida, I can go to Arizona, and I think that there's a lot of really, really good baseball out there. I would shy away from being, just out of disrespecting a different
Respect. Hmm.
area. I'm the country. I know there's a lot of really, really good baseball out there. A lot of good coaches out there as well. And when you get to this time of the year, like I said earlier, you got to play well. I don't care who your opponent is. I don't care who you're facing or anything in that regard. It comes down to who plays well. And so I would shy away from making any type of statement like that, because I just think there's a lot of good baseball that's out there. There's a lot of good junior college baseball programs that are across the country. There's some in Alabama. There's some in Mississippi. There's Texas. I mean, I can go to all those neck of the country, and there's really good baseball being played. We got good weather, and anytime you've got good weather and being in the southern part of the country, you should have good baseball, and we do have good baseball. So I'm going to shy away from saying that, but I do believe we have three really, really good teams, with us being the fourth in that mix as well this weekend.
No doubt. 1,100 wins, 8 national championships. What keeps you going, and what drives you? Because you've accomplished so very much at LSU Eunice, but what gets you going every day? Just because you've done so much at that school, what drives you every day?
Well, what I was talking about earlier, we've never, I've seen 8 teams dogpile at the end of the year, and I've seen 8 teams get a national championship ring, and I've never put those rings on myself, because I don't really, like I said earlier, I don't define us based on what that scoreboard says or if we win a championship. And you talked a little bit earlier about expectations. We don't have expectations. We don't have expectations. We don't talk to our guys about winning championships. We don't talk to our guys about any of that type of lingo. What we do talk about is what our work ethic is. What we do talk about who we are as individuals and what our attitude is. And I think the definition of our teams and how successful they are is really determined 10, 15 years from now, when all of our young people become husbands and fathers themselves and they're leading their families. I think that's what defines if we were successful or not if we win a college baseball game. And that's what keeps me going. Yeah, that's what
That's
keeps me
very.
going.
I hear you. That's a very poignant and very upfront answer. I love it. That's an outstanding answer. When you look at this tournament this weekend, you've played these teams already. BRCC is first up on Saturday. You get the winner of Delgado and Nunez. Well, you know,
Or the loser of those two
or
guys.
yeah, 'cause I was about to say, if you happen to get beat against BRCC,
Yeah.
you're playing early on Sunday, and that's never a good spot. Especially in a short order tournament with 4 teams. So the operative obviously is to win game one and set yourself up for the rest of the tournament after that. With that being said, the RCC is a young, hungry team that's made improvements. What's it going to take for you guys to get past them and get into that winners bracket game on Sunday?
You know, I think, what I was talking about earlier, the opponent doesn't really matter to us. We want to play the game against the game, and whatever the game presents to us, we want to be able to execute whatever is occurring in that game. I don't think you ever look across into the other dugouts and play against the opponent. I think you respect the opponent, but I think you play against the game. And I think you've got to throw strikes. You've got to field the baseball when you have a chance to field the baseball. You've got to execute the running game. You've got to execute the small ball game when it's called upon. And then you've got to get timely hits, and 2-out base hits win baseball games. I don't care if nobody's on base, a 2-out single to get a base runner with 2 outs, even if you don't score a run that inning, to get that opposing team's pitch count up, or to be able to just get another guy to the plate. Because the more guys you can get to the plate, meaning the more at bats or plate appearances your guys have during a game, the better chance that you're going to have to win the game. And if you look at teams that win the game, they've had more plate appearances than the opposing team. And the big key to that is making sure that you win the freebie war, making sure that you win, what does that look like? The walks, the hit by pitches, the stolen bases, the errors. If you win that, you're going to win the game, no matter how many hits occur. And so a lot of people call it a game of failure. I don't think that that's what game of baseball is. I think it's a game of optimism, just because if you can tell me I can only succeed 3 out of 10 times and do very, very well at the plate in my batting average, then I think you've got a lot of optimism that's involved in that, not pessimism or failure that's involved in that. And I think timely hits are going to and executing and throwing strikes and being able to do that, then you're going to have a chance to win a baseball game. But then again, if somebody pops a 3-run home run late in the game with a couple of walks and that happened, then you're not going to win the game. So again, just playing clean baseball and making your opponent execute when they have to execute.
I think the other thing that associates with baseball is momentum. And last weekend, you guys had, as BK mentioned, you had that big series with Delgado. Felt like a playoff setting, with the success of them and the success of you. You were able to effort and get the series win on a walk off. How does that series help you coming into this tournament? Because you played a team like Delgado, you're going to probably see them again at some point. But how did that series help your team mindset prepare to get into a playoff mode?
I don't really think it does, just because, Delgado's a very, very well coached team. I mean, Coach Sherman knows what he's doing. He's been around the game a long time. What I was impressed by is you had 3 really close baseball games that could have went either way. But both teams did not make it bigger than the moment. And both teams treated it like any other game of the year. And so if we would have been the team that didn't win the 2 out of 3, I don't think it would have mattered any. And I don't think it matters for them that we won the series. And I don't think it matters for us that we won the series, because tomorrow's a new day. And, one pitch could have been the difference in one of those games, or one play could have made the difference in what the scores were in those games. And so, again, tomorrow's a new day. They're a very, very well coached team. Again, they're playing Nunez, we're playing Baton Rouge. And I think it comes down to who plays well in those first 2, and then the next day, and you've got to play well over 3 or 4 days to be able to win and move on.
Last question before I turn it back over to BK. How you talked about definition? What would be the one word to define this year's team at LSU Eunice? What if you had to pick one word?
Yeah, that's pretty easy. Selfless would be the word. I'll tell you the most proud thing I am, and it tells me our guys deserve to win. It tells me our guys deserve to succeed, deserve to have something good happen to them. Those guys have, on their off days, almost every off day this spring, and then even in the fall time, they were out doing community service. And they did over 20 community service projects this year. And a lot of times I didn't know they were out doing that. They organized a lot of that on their own, and they were out helping people. And that tells me they're winners. Not if they win a baseball game, and they can go 0-2 this weekend, and 0-2 is not going to define them. And you were talking about expectations earlier. Again, I don't have any expectations for them, because in my mind, who they are and the legacy that they've had this year of helping people and the selfless attitude that they have tells me that they're going to be very, very successful in any endeavor in their life. And the baseball game that's going to be played this weekend, and Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and that will not define who they are as individuals. And so we're going to show up. The kids are going to play incredibly hard. They have the right attitude, and then we'll let the chips fall where they fall.
Coach, gotta close you out with this. I don't know if this is the most wins ever in your tenure. Not too many times we see a junior college team with 49 wins on a year, man. That's amazing stuff. I know you might have plenty of teams that might have won 50 maybe, but
yeah, I think we've had 10 plus teams that won over 50 games in a year. So I'm not for sure what that number is, and it may be pushing 10. I just don't know, but a lot of those years there's been those types of win totals.
Wow. But looking, the program has just been unbelievable. You had to do some work on your baseball stadium and everything. You got one phase finish, and you're hoping to get the next one done by next season. But what it would be if you guys, not just the fact you win the Region 23 tournament and becoming for the first time a new champion in the region in a long, long time, but a chance for LSU Eunice to possibly win a national championship in their first year in Division One. What you can say about that?
Guys, again, like I said earlier, we're not going to define ourselves if we win the regional or we win the last game of the year. I've seen 8 teams do that, and at the end of the day, all that stuff's going to pass away. And really, the only people that remember that kind of stuff are the teams that actually do it themselves. And if I ask you right now who won the Super Bowl 6 years ago, can you spit that all out off the top of your head, or would you have to think back to figure out like who was that, and you could probably come up in your mind and kind of calculate back to kind of figure it, but it'll take you a little bit of time. And I think when you look at it like that, you start to realize that our society puts a lot of value in somebody winning a game. When I look at the game and say you've been a part of games that you've won on the scoreboard that you didn't play very well, and then you've also been a part of games that you played really, really well and you came out second on the scoreboard. So which one made you the winner and which one made you a loser? It's not what the scoreboard says, it's how you go about your business. And so again, we don't talk about championships. We didn't talk about, the regular season deal that we won the other day. We have not talked about this weekend. We've happened, and we've winning a national championship, and so we're just never going to define ourselves by that. And I think when you do that, the kids start to realize that you're there for the right reasons, and they're trying to grow as human beings, and you're not valuing what they do on the field. You're valuing them, who they are as a person, and you're valuing who they are as an individual. And I think we'll always treat it like that as long as I'm the coach here, and we'll not define ourselves based on if we win a baseball game.
Wow, man. I'll tell you one thing, Coach Willis. I admire everything you just said just now. You right now, I can say you're definitely a true thinking man besides being a coach. I really, really like that, and I admire that very, very much. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings on this earth on a journey. Everybody has a journey, man. So I really appreciate the words you just said. It's very, very, very
Yep.
admirable. So you're doing some
Well,
great
I
work,
appreciate
Coach.
that. And guys, again, I appreciate you guys having me on. I appreciate you guys covering this deal. I think a lot of times junior college baseball doesn't get the respect that it deserves. And anybody that wants to get people, coaches or players, and from junior college baseball and promote that, they're doing it a great service, because the kids that we have, the kids that Baton Rouge has, the kids that Nunez had, the kids that Delgado have, deserve that. And I appreciate you guys doing that for all of us. And I appreciate you guys keep doing it.
Absolutely. LSU Eunice and BRCC will kick off the day on Saturday at 1 p.m. In Denham Springs High School. Come on out and support these teams of the Region 23 tournament. Delgado and Nunez will be at 4 o'clock right afterwards. If you can't make it out to the stadium, TSBN Sports will be broadcasting every game of the tournament. And we're looking forward to bringing it to you. The legendary head coach, Jeff Willis, thank you so much for joining us on the Hash It Out Show. We will have you back on
Yeah,
again
thanks,
soon.
guys. Have a good night. See you later.
Do the same, coach.
Thank you, Coach. And we'll see Coach Willis on Saturday against BRCC. That was Jeff Willis of LSU Eunice joining on the Hash It Out Show. George Peppers, your thoughts on the legendary Coach
That's
Willis?
easy. Staying grounded. That's what he does. I mean, every year, he mentioned 8 national championships, 8, and he says he doesn't wear the rings. That's more or less keeping his team on point and saying, "Look, one ain't enough. We're gonna win a lot, and we're gonna win it by playing the game the right way. But you're gonna grow up to be men, and you're going to have productive lives." And that was the bigger message. Then it's easy to go out there and win and have dog piles at the end, right? Be the last team standing, winning it all. But it's what you do when you leave college with that degree. What kind of job are you going to get? What kind of family are you going to raise? How many kids, and all that stuff. You got to plan all that stuff. And Coach Willis does a tremendous job, not just winning baseball games and coaching, but teaching these kids the game of life. And that is what really draws on me at what impresses me the most for him.
Very much agreed. I mean, big time hearing it from him, and it says a lot about a coach and his character when you say the wins don't matter. but the character of the kids, about what they do after. That's really big for a legendary coach like Coach Willis, who's been through a lot of battles in his years at LSU Eunice and in his 23rd year this year. Having his team in Division One NJCA playing real tough competition, and for them being number two in the country, that's huge. And for his team, they want to try to make a mark, but not just that, they want to take it like the mentality say win the day. They want to win the day. And that's what they want to do each and every game. And I think Coach Willis knows deep down he's not going to take LSU units. He's not going to take let's say he's not going to take BRCC lightly. He's not going to take them lightly at all. He just knows that Saturday will be a grind and a battle against BRCC, which will start the day Saturday at 1 p.m. on TSBN Sports. And then right after that, 4:30, we will have Delgado and Nunez. George, if you still hear me?
I was
Look
just
like he's
no,
frozen.
no, no,
Oh,
no.
there it is.
I was look. I actually was, since we're about to transition back, but I was looking at the NBA
Yeah.
scores and pretty big one going on right now. Big whooping going on right down deep in the heart of Texas. Rockets up 20 in the fourth quarter.
Oh, wow. Rockets up. I guess they're playing. They're playing desperate, desperate basketball, and
What's the hardest
that's
game to
big
win in
for
the
them.
playoffs, I think, VK? The closeout game. That's the hardest game in any level of sport to win is the closeout. If and
Yeah.
because that team is going to scratch, claw, punch, kick, do everything they can to keep it going one more time. And it looks like we're going back to Chase Center in a couple of days' time for Game 6. So we'll see. But as far as LSU units, let me ask
Yeah.
you now. You're going to cover the tournament. When you handicap these teams, these four teams, the presumptive favorites are LSU, Eunice, and Delgado. But I look at Nunez at 33 wins, and are they at the level of those two teams? Maybe not, but this is their most wins in a long time, right? And they could be the
And this is their most wins in a long time. And does Nunez have the capability of digging in and having a chance? I think they have a chance. You have to think the Delgado games this year. They have been one run game. The first series at Delgado, the first two games was only one run victories for Delgado. The last game was maybe the most lopsided game where Delgado only won by 3 runs.
not lopsided though.
Then when they took not two lives, but
I
as
mean,
in
they
kind of
handled it, but not blowout.
not saying blowout. I'm
Hmm.
talking about not lopsided. I'm gonna say the most completed game
Yeah,
of
understood.
a game that wasn't really close. That what we're saying with that one. Now, when they played at Nunez really got some big time get back. They hit the ball very, very well. They pitched very well. And then on top of that, their defense was absolutely sensational that Saturday in their doubleheader where Nunez swept the doubleheader, won the series for the first time ever in their history, but couldn't get the 3 game sweep Sunday. That was the most lopsided game of the whole year between the two because Delgado just came out on
Mhm.
fire and just hit the ball well. Now Nunez came back; they came all the way
Mhm.
back, but insurance runs in the 8th and ninth inning really put it away and gave Joe Sherman his 1,200 win.
Not,
So
not going to ask you who's going to win a tournament since you're calling it. So objectivity is a huge norm for the Hash Out Show. We are always objective, and we're always. So I want to bring a wrestling reference. Remember Bill Alfonso? We call it what? Right down the middle. Right. So in
yep.
that vein, what's going to be a key in this tournament? It's going to be hot and humid in Denham Springs this weekend. Of course, it's May. It's hot and messy weather, pop up showers and all that. But what's going to be a key for? I'll give you all four teams quickly. A key for all four of them to experience success and win and move their way to Alabama, starting with the longest shot, BRCC, and work your way up to the favorite. Go 4-3-2-1. What's going to be a key to win a tournament for each of those four teams?
For BRCC, their pitching has to be on point. It has to be on point all game long. And if they do that, I think the offense has the capability to score at any time. So, but the pitching is just got to set the tone for BRCC for them to have a shot. For Nunez has an unbelievable chance because they had a great offensive output all around this year. Their defense, out of all the years I've covered Nunez, this is the best year their defense has ever been. We're talking about not too many errors this season. They make a lot of plays in the infield and in the outfield, and they keep them. It keeps Nunez in ball games, especially with their pitching. They have two solid, good pitchers in Luke Connolly and Eli Woodard. The biggest thing is the third starter, and if the bullpen can hold it down. So that's going to be the biggest thing. And now, since these games are now 9 innings in the postseason, the bullpen is going to have to be really, really needed. So the thing is that their bullpen can step up, especially helping the starting pitching. And if Nunez's offense can stay on point, they could make a huge run. Delgado is going to have to find a way. Now pitching wise, the starting pitching is really good. The starting pitching is really good. Their bullpen is not bad at all, but their starting pitch is really good. Offensively, 1 through 5, they can hit the ball and they're very consistent. But 6 through 9 is the question. After Eli Booth, who else is going to step up? We've seen sometimes Frank Randall can hit the ball very, very well for the Delgado Dolphins, but they're going to have to step it up. Like 1 through 4 to 5, they're very consistent. They can hit it. They can get on base anytime. But 6 through 9 is going to be the question mark. Can they go out there, hit the ball? Can they make plays? But also defensively, can they make plays in the outfield too? So that's going to be another thing for the Delgado Dolphins if they can win it all. But if they can come with the small ball, play good offense, but help out on the pitching, that'll be huge for Delgado. For LSU Eunice, if LSU Eunice plays on top of their game, hit the ball well, pitch well, the starting pitching has not been that bad, but that bullpen for LSU Eunice has been lights out. They've been lights out this year. And the thing is, if their bullpen is that good and they stay that way, it could be LSU Eunice's time. But the thing is, if you jump on a bullpen, you might have a shot. But we will see. But LSU Eunice out of all three teams has, to me, the best all around team in the whole tournament. Delgado and Nunez are right close behind them. That's how close that is between them two. That's how even that matchup is going to be on Saturday. So either way, I think we're going to see two good ball games, especially the first game, despite the records, despite the seedings. I think it's going to be an interesting first game on Saturday to see what happens. Because like Coach Willis says, we just got to get through that game. And he knows, and he's not underestimating Coach Schmidt and that BRCC team at all. So that first game Saturday, just stay tuned, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. If that game goes close to the 7, if it goes past 6 innings, past 6 or 7 innings, and that game is close, buckle up, folks. We got an interesting ending to that game there. But I'm looking forward to calling the games this weekend on Saturday, and especially the whole weekend. It's my 4th year doing it on TSBN. And like I said, I'm going to call it down the middle. We call it down the middle every year. It's a national tournament. And, it's been an honor and a privilege to call this tournament. And it's going to be great to call it again this year from out of Baton Rouge, man. Baton Rouge, Denham Springs. So it's going to be fun this weekend. Tune in. And I will make sure I put the links up as well. But we're going. I keep forgetting. I'm hosting the show, right?
Hey, you the dog
Nah,
tonight.
I had to. Oh yeah, I forgot. But at the same time, we got one more little thing we'll talk about before we close it out tonight. Um, they had a video that came out. I believe it was yesterday, and man, it was an interesting video in itself. It was a podcast that is hosted by Theo Pinson, former North Carolina players, Theo Pinson, and also Raymond Felton, and I think Charlie Villanueva, who's part of that
UConn.
podcast as well. Yes, part of that
Mhm.
podcast as well. And I think it's called Beyond. I think it's called Beyond the Baja or something like that. I'm going to the Baja. To the Baja is the name of the podcast. And they talked a little bit about a certain person that I think I mentioned on the show before, or whatever. And it's somebody that me and JB are UNC Tar Heel fans, diehard fans. And one player that we said that no, I said it myself that I don't know him. He should not be a part of the history of UNC basketball, period. His name is Rashad McCants. Rashad McCants recently did an interview. I'm gonna give some context to it. He recently did an interview with Tony Allen. Tony Allen is a part of this podcast called Out of the Mud. Out the Mud is the name of the podcast, and he's on there, and they are based out of Memphis. So he did an interview with Michelle McCants, and McCants kind of exposed some things about UNC basketball a bit, and talking about how Matt Doherty used to handle them pretty bad, and then all of a sudden he talked about the time when Roy Williams was the coach, and he was talking about how he was treated on the plantation and all that stuff and everything. He
Wow.
mentioned that he was Django or something, and I was like, "What?" You got to go back and look at the video yourself, Joe. When I say
Yeah.
because they went showed the clip first. Theo Pinson was explaining some things, putting the things in context, and showed the video of the interview, and the stuff he said kind of dropped my mouth. Now, when that was over, Theo Pinson, former Carolina Tar Heel, and he was on the national championship team after the '05 team. He was on the '09 team. Pinson went clean off on Rashad McCants. And you're talking about hell, fire, and brimstone. That's how bad it was. And
I
like I
like Kane
said,
with that stuff now, JR. All right,
all
JR.
that's what it was. Because all I'm gonna
I
tell you
hear
is
you.
this, bro. Look, I knew this day was coming. I knew it was coming for Rashad McCants because Theo Pinson said it himself. You know, big ups. I'm like, you had a short career and you're talking all kind of stupid. The crown you have on your head, I think, is affecting your brain. That's what Theo Pinson said. I mean, shots fired everywhere. Like, oh my God. But then on top of that, you know, he said this like, you better thank God for Gilbert Arenas. He saved your career. He saved your life, basically. So, bruh, the shots were fired then, but then Raymond Felton added on, and Raymond Felton said these words. He said, I kept my mouth shut on it. I didn't want to say anything about it. But now, after what I heard, that's why nobody mentions you for on that '05 team. Nobody mentions you. Nobody claims you. And plain and simple, I'm sorry, you're dead to me. You're dead to me after all what you have said, because he said some bad things about uh, Marvin Williams. He said some bad things about Sean May. So, and he said something bad about Roy Williams as well. So at that time, I mean, bruh, big ups to Theo Pinson and Raymond Felton. Raymond Felton, that's not usually his character, but he just was like, I had enough of this. I had enough. I cannot hold my tongue anymore. And that's basically when somebody who's just been on your side, been with you, but then all of a sudden, when you see everybody just, you know what I'm saying, it's just, bruh, they did what they I'm like this. I loved what I seen. And I'm sorry I have to say this. And also tell you, I see your comment. All teammates are not close. You're right, Austin, but I'm sorry. Rashard McCants did it himself. What he did on ESPN, and especially in that article, is unforgivable. Unforgivable to me as a UNC fan. How you gonna bite the hand that feeds you? How? How? I don't understand it. UNC has been good to a lot of people, but you put yourself and your sister. Remember, his sister played on the UNC women's team. You put yourself and your sister in harm's way. So guess what? Now, and especially the way you're talking on Gil's Arena and stuff, you really look like a jack. You know what? You know what I'm saying? Like a straight dummy. And I'm telling you, the stuff he talked, he looked like a dummy. It's bad. Gilbert Arenas got you on for a reason. And I know Gilbert, and I'll tell you one thing, he has a very good podcast, very talented, and everything else. He sometimes he is off the handles on certain things, but at the same
Dude,
time, there's a reason and I really thought I was wishing he would have had somebody else on the show outside of Rashard McCants, because Rashard McCants is almost like a yes man. And that's what Rashard McCants is. And for what he did, I'm sorry. He's getting what he freaking deserves. He said he tried to go back to UNC and try to make amends. Try to make amends with Roy Williams. But Theo Pinson said it himself. I'm like, what are you talking about? Roy Williams is gone, dude. He's left. He's not the coach anymore.
nope.
Too late. You know, he said it himself, that crown is just really crushing your brain. So, bruh, when I seen that, I'm just like, love it. It's just the fact of the matter is, he got what he deserved. You knew it was coming, Rashard McCants, and you're getting it now. You're getting it now. So plain and simple, bro. He gonna still do what he doing because he loves being on Gills. I mean, he getting paid and everything. But bro, you gonna continue to get dumped on. I'm like this. You better get yourself together. You better get yourself together and find a way. You better find a way to make some kind of amends. You better find a way, because I'm telling you, it's just not gonna stop, my friend. Really, it's not really. I can't say my friend. My associate, whoever you are, Mr. McCants. I rather, and I'm sorry, I rather claim Jason Capel more than you. And
What about
some
Caleb
people
Love?
know me, and some people know me. You know how I feel about Jason Capel. I'll claim Jason Capel before I claim Rashard McCants. That's just me, bro.
You better claim Caleb Love too while you're at it.
Oh, Killer Love can go kick rocks. That's
Kick
all I
rocks,
know.
I
That's
hear you,
that's
brother.
another one. He can go kick rocks.
Now, an incident like this, listen, you get this in the podcast world, you're going to find former athletes, up and coming broadcasters that want to make a mark go into what they call shock casting. Say something to elicit shock. And ignorance is usually the precursor for that. So, Rashawn McCants, I'll say this, bro. If plantation life was good at North Carolina, it must have been beautiful in the NBA because you made a lot of jack because of Roy Williams. You made a lot of money, dude. And you nibbling on the hand, you're not nibbling, you are piranhaing the hand that feeds you.
And he
Brother,
barely had a career. He only played
but he
4 years.
he made good money in the short time he was around. Remember, he was a high draft choice and he got paid a pretty good chunk. With
He
that being
did.
said,
He did, but my thing about that is what happened to his money. That's the biggest
I
thing
don't know
about that.
if he's doing podcasts, then something ain't adding up here. But I'm not worried about the financial background.
Right.
That's not what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is the verbal context and the verbiage he uses. It's very disturbing in the year 2025 that we got to hear this. I'm not going to say the word I'm thinking, BS. It's very disturbing that we as American people have to hear that junk, that jargon, that garbage, that trash. No, bro, that's not podcasting. What we do on the Hash It Out show and what other aspiring broadcasters do in the podcast world is to elicit our thoughts objectively, equally, and informatively. Now, with that said, VK, Jared, I know Jared's not with us. Does this incident force y'all to turn in your North Carolina fan card and join Duke and be a fan of the Duke Blue Devils now? BK, you're the only one that can answer it right now. And I know what Jared's answer going to be. No. And I think I know what your answer is going to be. No, because
Yeah.
my brother's a Duke apologist, dog. My brother is a Duke fan. And that's why I was asking. He's looking for some friends to join him.
All I'm gonna tell you is this: my wife, God bless her soul, she tried to get me to jump on the Carolina Panthers bandwagon, and I told her this. I said, I am not selling my soul for Cam Newton. Never. I
Wow.
would not sell my soul for Cam Newton. And like I said, I this is my words to you. I'm not selling my soul to being a Blue Devil. It's not happening.
I just wanted
I
to
I,
elicit
I
some
know,
humor,
I
sir.
know, I know, I know what that is a humor, but it ain't happening. We go ride the wheels to the wheels fall off at UNC. It's just the
Just make
fact that
sure.
I just
Just
because
make
we
sure
just
Rashawn McCants ain't the driver of that car. That's all.
Rashard McCants is we don't
To the curb,
we
to
we
the
don't we
window.
don't we don't claim nomads.
That's all right. You know
We
what
don't
I
claim
hope?
nomads.
Since we're talking about North Carolina and this and that, and Caleb Love got to start in North Carolina. What if Drew Dumars drafts him in this draft, EK? And he's a Pelican. Boy, I could see your reaction. If that
Oh,
dude gets drafted by the Pels, Caleb Love,
oh my God.
that would make you go. Maybe we would hear a VK Jones rant of epic proportions. I think.
All I know, it will be like the time when Austin Rivers got drafted. Trust me, I felt some
Mm.
type of way when he got drafted. I'm like, to draft him instead of Kendall Marshall. Still to this day, it don't make sense.
Who
Zion
lasted longer?
Williamson was fine, but that's saying he lasted longer because of his daddy.
His
That's
daddy
just
about
the
his
way.
daddy about to hit the unemployment line. Doc's getting fired. I
Of
guarantee
course.
you. He is done. He's riding a 2008 championship for 17 years. It's time to kick rocks. Bye bye. And bring Budenholzer back. Maybe that's the only way you get Giannis back.
Hmm. Absolutely. Well, that's it for the Hash It Out show. We definitely appreciate you joining us tonight. George Pepper's got something coming up here. Derby weekend. We got the Kentucky Derby coming up. Tell the
Yep.
fans where we can find what you got. I know you got some previews coming up and what you got coming up this weekend with your
Actually, invited to speak with Jordy Hultberg. He does a radio show out of Baton Rouge, goes around the state. I don't remember. I don't have the call letters of the station in front of me, but I will be on. He wanted me on tomorrow morning, but I got duty calls in the morning, so I sent him a text around 6 saying, "Look, can we do this Friday?" And of course, I'm going to get with our mentor, Ken Trahan, because he's going to have the three tailgaters Saturday, and it's going to be a very, very tough appearance. Like I mentioned last night, if that goes through, because it'll be the first Derby we talk without the late great Ed Daniels aboard, wanting to give him for me to give him a winning hit. And I'll share this story, BK, about and he was a great friend to all of us. But horse racing wise, I had come into last year's Derby. I was like, man, I wasn't feeling like, you know, basketball, sports, every in life, life delivers slumps, right? Where just feel like you get a stretch where things just don't go right. Well, in the horse racing gamut, which I do, I wasn't hitting on really a lot. I don't do a lot of, I don't do it every day per se, but anytime I would get active, it just wasn't going. And I remember Ed telling me before we went on, he goes, "Look, today's the day. Today's the day." And he had all this confidence, and I'm like, man, I want that confidence too. So, and long story short, last year's Derby I got the exact box right. I sent it to you, to Ed. Well, I gave it to Ed on the air. I get a phone call after the Derby, about 20 minutes after the Derby. He calls me and he utters 5 words: "The Magic Man is back."
Hmm.
And
So
that lives with me, dude. That lives with me, you know. And I think about Saturday. It's gonna be tough, if I'm able to get on with Kenny, and I hope I get that chance. But yeah, and trying to get my Twitter page right so I could do some live tweeting, because I actually took 2 days off for Oaks Day and Derby Day, and this Twitter thing is acting a fool right now. I can't get in. They're talking about password blocks and all that stuff. So once I get my Twitter stuff straight, I know you follow me and I follow you. I don't want to have to recreate a whole new damn page.
hmm.
But said, I was looking at videos last night after we got done with the show. They had some webinars last night in advance of the Derby. And look, I listen to other people, but I make my own opinions. Everything I say is me. But I was just looking for trip notes, and trip notes basically says like, okay, what are you saying? And there are a few people I'll be like, I'll listen to, and I'll be like, I know I can trust your opinion, and I can trust what you're saying, and there's a hidden message. But I got this 4 horse exacta box ready for you for this weekend. I know you'll be busy doing the TSBN games, the games on TSBN, the Region 23 tournament in Denham Springs. And before we leave, I just want to say I hope you have a great call for all the games, and get there safe and get home safe is the most important thing at the end of the day.
Yes.
And with that, I mean, we'll be back with you at some point next week. Hopefully, celebrating this little windfall I might have to give you, because I'm telling you this: if this year's numbers hit right, it's gonna pay more than last year. I'll just let you know. It's gonna
Mm,
pay more than last year.
that sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
Cha-ching, baby boy. Cha-ching,
Look,
right?
yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
Let's
TSBN
go.
Sports, TSBN Sports, TSBNsports.com, 1 p.m.
Mhm.
LSU Eunice and BRCC and at 1 o'clock, 4:30, Delgado Nunez. We'd like to thank Jeff Willis of LSU Eunice. We'd like to thank Brandon Schmidt of BRCC for joining us. Come support these teams this weekend, and not just that. If you can't make it to the stadium, watch it on TSBN Sports. Next week, want to make this quick announcement before we go. We have a special guest confirmed for next week, and she will let us know when she will be here. It will be Tuesday or Wednesday, but she'll let me know. A big shout out going to the Southern University students. They created a documentary that's coming out called The Hidden Sport, as they talked about the Human Jukebox Southern University Band. They were nominated for an Emmy. They're
Oh, wow.
nominated for an Emmy Award. One of the people that
Awesome.
was part of that documentary, Sydney Coulier, she'll be joining us next week to talk about the documentary, and also she will talk about her career because she's also a sports journalist in Baton Rouge. So she is doing her thing, doing a lot for Southern University, and been all over the place in Baton Rouge. So we will have her on the show. It'll be Tuesday or Wednesday. We will keep you posted. But Sydney
Check
Coulier
our
will be
social medias, y'all.
yep, it will be Sydney Coulier out of Southern University will join us next week on the Hash It Out Show. So that's it for tonight. For George Peppers, for Jared JB Board, I'm VK Jones. We definitely appreciate y'all. Y'all take care.